We'll see if that works as a sound check. I'm on a hike. This is one of the first cold days of the fall here in Central Texas. Taking advantage of the government shutdown, maybe. Hopefully I don't have a ticket on my car when I come back. I didn't see anybody manning anything. Hi, I'm nordus-mocwyl. In this walk and talk, I want to give a post-mortem to the Urbit app ecosystem. And since Gall is a big part of that, it's almost like a post-mortem for Gall apps. But Urbit app ecosystem, it had a vibrant rise, tons of apps, and then now my landscape looks like a graveyard, a bunch of ideas, a bunch of excitement, and then now just things have shrunk, things have come together, constricted. And I want to explain it, or at least my perspective. So I have tried to make this video before, and so I have a web page that I'm making available, and I'm going to try to follow it and work through the timeline to really show what I'm looking at that has made me come to the conclusion that I have. I want to do this because when I talk to other Urbiters, I'm kind of always blown away of how we don't have the same opinion about something. And it's I kind of have to constantly remind myself that when I don't understand something or, my process, I spend a lot of time thinking through and trying to process what happened, what made sense of something. And whenever I come to a conclusion, I'm well, yeah, obviously, right? Of course, that's the conclusion. I get surprised when it's not other people's conclusion. And some of that is just thinking in perspective. But I think a lot of that is just not looking at the same evidence. And so to this time period that I want to talk about, we'll say circa 2021 to 2023, I was kind of around for all that. And I was watching the things go into the extra stuff. And yeah, I kind of want to, I can't set the record straight or anything. And that's not the goal because I wasn't behind closed doors or anything. I was just observing and I was just around, helped build, got a grant for one of the beginner developer grants for, pause. Dude's kind of doing what I'm doing. It's on a phone call. Let's see, do I hear anything else? All right, good to go. Yeah, I don't have any privileged information. I don't even know what the accusations are, so no record setting straight. But I see what I see, and I'm gonna pull each of those things out. I'm gonna imagine there's a desk here. We're gonna pull out all those things. We're gonna put them on the desk, and we're gonna both take a look at it and decide if my conclusion is true, which is, I'm going to start with the conclusion. The current app model, which is inside of Gall, so the Gall app model, it's not Martian enough. It was almost like a wholesale attempt at making the standard concept of what an app is, making it capable of working in a distributed network. And it turns out it was a good go, but it's not Martian enough. And to make the apps that we need to fulfill the promises that we want out of Urbit, we're going to have a different model. Yeah, so that's the conclusion. And we will pull those things out. I want to look at, I think the promises is maybe what it was. Promises that Urbit was going to make. So right whenever they launched, there's promises. And they launched apps. There was the rise, the excitement, the hype, things picked up. I want to look at that time. I also want to look at right about like inside of the hype, there were little cracks forming, little tiny cracks forming, and you can see that. I like in my notes, like there's links to videos and stuff. I attended some of them personally, and some of them I just watched after the fact. Dang, this is hurting my arm. I'm gonna have a huge deltoid by the end of this. And then after the cracks form, I will talk about the mass die off, the aftermath of everything kind of shrinking down, and that's more of a long tail thing. But at the very least, like I will show, here's what we learned pushing forward into the Gall app model. I'm not going to get into a bunch of detail because I'm hiking, so it's not going to totally happen. Got a T-Rex arm for a second. Hold on. Oh boy, there's no way I'm breathing heavy just because of my shoulder. Oh, but before I say any of the negative stuff and like really like, I don't know, tear this thing apart, like really do the post-mortem, start dissecting things, I want to give Gall the praise it deserves. There's like actual houses over here. And so I want to say some positive things about Gall. Like one, the Gall app model is totally reasonable place to start. There was assumptions about what an app had to be, and they just went for it. And like, of course, we're just gonna have to start somewhere. Totally reasonable. Two, Gall had a really smart like structure. Like it had like a rigid, you had to have a certain number of arms and they had to do a certain number of things. Or certain things. So this is your on init, on poke, on, my arm's getting so tired. I can swap my arm. Then the video will flip. I don't want to do that. The next mile marker. I've got a little tick that I do. Yeah, the structure is excellent because Gall had to solve a really hard problem, which is these apps needed to work on a distributed network. And distributed apps is totally different than just an app on your computer. Okay, I hear more people. All right, I discovered my video cut out. Like, press the pause button at some point. And I think you're just gonna have to deal with it. This is a black screen. It's fine. It's fine. It's not what these videos are about. Oh, a Gall app has this structure: on poke, on load, on save, on peak, on watch, and just as like coming from somebody who branch got me. Coming from somebody who cut their teeth on app development in Urbit, in Hoon. Hold on. I can tell you one of the really hard parts to wrap your head around. Every Urbit app is actually, you have to think of it having two different roles, at least. Like there's more thoughts on that later, but whenever I was making it, I had to think of two very distinct things, which was, there's one of the apps is, one portion of the app is all about like just the local app, like operating just on that particular Urbit. And the second part of the app is one that's like, needs to be aware of across the network thing. So I'm trying to remember how I phrased it to understand it myself. Gosh, I gotta go back to T-Rex arms. Gosh, this is too much. That's just too much. It's sort of client server. It's sort of like local / remote. Which is say, your app has two very different personalities, which is like, I need to do something on this local machine, but I also need to like do something for somebody else. So we were making a chess app. So version 2, the next version of the chess app, Chess Improvements Grant. Shout out to everybody that I've worked on it with. Like locally, it needs to serve you up a chess game. You need to be able to make a poke to change the moves of it. And then it needs to check that the moves work, right? But at the same time, you need to be aware that somebody else, if you're playing with somebody else, they're going to inform you what their move is. And you have to do something totally different. You need to have them subscribe to your moves. You need to make your move and report it back. So you have like a subscriber to what you're doing, but then you're also subscribing to them. So like there's the other half of that where you gotta, whenever you see their move, you need to verify that it's a real move and it's actually available. Swing it out like that. Okay. Didn't turn off the video. And so I had to wrap my head around like, remote versus local, subscriber versus subscribed. And there's these very kind of like different personalities when you're thinking about it, which is just to say like distributed apps, one app that gets downloaded onto 2 different computers in other places. That app has to kind of have this Jekyll and Hyde personality that it has to think of a lot more things just because it's distributed and it's talking to other things. Gall was set up in a way that made you have to think in those terms. Like I wouldn't have, before I started, I didn't know that's something I needed to know, but because of on watch, on poke, on peak, like I got to see that those are distinct things. And so that structure actually helped shape me as an app developer to not only understand apps in general, but understand the next level of like distributed applications, which is a whole different beast and actually kind of the problem. So kudos to Gall on that front. Was there anything else? For the app ecosystem itself, one of the big promises early on, I'll say it again later, but is permissionless app distribution. And like smooth and automatic updates. Well, maybe. We'll just stick with the permissionless app distribution. Anybody, anywhere in the network can just say that they have something for download. Anybody everywhere. It's just like totally even playing field. There's no app store. There's no permission. There's nobody taking a cut. It's just out there in the open and nobody can really do anything about it. That was a promise. That was totally achieved. And it's amazing. And it's like it's understated. It's undersold how my computer can get something from any other computer that like puts it out there on the network. So that's a very big deal. I'm just getting tired again. Let's go. Yeah. Well, I think I had more bullet points in the thing, but let's move on. Let's talk about the launch. So a little personal story, I guess. I got into Urbit late 2019. Late 2019 was the first time I heard the word Urbit. And by the end of that year, I was able to like boot up a Comet, get into some groups in OS1. I'm going to be tempted to put up an image of that, but I'm not. I'm not. And yeah, I got to meet some cool people. There were some nature lovers. There was a group for that. And I was like, this is great. I think that's, and then I learned about Hoon School. Well, and then later I bought my planet at like the peak of Ethereum gas, spent like $80, got nordus-mocwyl, got into Hoon School, got kind of baited to do Hoon School, and then saw it all the way through, and then got into the chess apps thing. All right, that's like anyways, 2019. One of the things that I kind of, I really missed out on was 2020. In 2020, Urbit had its, hold on, I gotta check the, okay, I didn't turn it off. Urbit had its Austin assembly, is it assembly in Austin, the convention, getting together. And people thought, like, it was on my radar. I showed up late to the Discord group, was already closed, but there was all this stuff about the Urbit meetup and where they're at now, and that they exited for Talon and all this. There's at least a video there by somebody who helped me learn how to boot up an Urbit, and that was really helpful. So it helped me get my actual planet up. But yeah, I totally missed the, I intended to come to the 2020 Austin meetup, but just couldn't do it. I had a buddy who had a wedding, and I just couldn't come. And it turns out, very special event. In that event, you can go back. I've got links to the videos. In that event, they were launching app distribution. So this is where our story starts, right? And if you listen to the rhetoric, you realize like what people are excited about. People are excited about like simplicity, is going back to first principles and doing it right, and permissionless distribution, like we had mentioned. And if you go through there, I think the most critical things, you might be able to find more things, but I think on top of that permissionlessness, one of the big things was the idea of like interoperability. Every app will be able to talk to each other, operate with each other, and have like a shared data that they can bring liveliness to in all kinds of different ways. You could have just one primitive app, and it's just the talk app, and every other app can just use that one, so that there is a constant building up, that nobody is having to like remake the basics. Like, you don't got to remake the wheel. You just need text. Only one person needs to do that. Done. Moving on. Right. Very critical, this interoperability. The second one was customizability. That, hey, I don't like that button moved in the last update. I'm going to make a little change on my Urbit and move that button back to where it was. And I'll just like, that customization is going to stay steady, unlike my arm, which I have to change right now. You'd be able to make a change to your Urbit and it would persist. And you get to have your Urbit. You can make it look how you want to, operate the way that you want to, the way you want to interact with it. And so people were really excited about this. Like, it felt like it was a slow but right way to do it. And once you gain speed, you'd really take off. And that was the launch. This is 2020, Austin Assembly, launching app distribution. It goes online. We have these promises. We're super stoked. This feels special. It's a small community, but now it just opened up to the wider world to get involved, have their imagination go wild and take off. Very exciting times for the people who knew about it. And as expected, people got excited. All the people who like heard those promises and like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want. This like solves all the frustrations. This is where I want to build. I don't want to constantly be building something and have it knocked over. And I know a couple of programmers that have some very vivid explanations or very vivid analogies that they have where they thought they were going to build a cathedral, but all it really is just a total facade, and you're just, anyways. It's gross. It's a pretty gross analogy. Yeah, with that excitement, with that promise, people showed up. they arrived Noah's Ark style, right? And it was fateful because at that exact same time, 2021 up to 2022, you have DeFi summer. You have crypto like really coming into its own, starting to like get its kind of first wave of people getting excited about it. A lot of, VCs got excited about it. People knew what an NFT was, and Urbit has, its toes dipped into that kind of fatefully, I guess. Having the planets, all the ships and Urbit ships backed by NFTs. That like arm being tired is something else. And so Urbit, tide rises all ships, and the Urbit hype, which is kind of a perfect storm of like dumb money interest. I'll just say money interest coming in, and really amazing promises. Like, so people really understanding what's cool, what's new and possible, and they get to see this like brand new frontier was a pretty big part of it, and people wanted to see what they could do, and they got their hands dirty and they started building apps. And so I think I'll try to wrap it up at the 20-minute mark, even pause my audio. Yeah, and then it takes off. It gets big. This is the rise. This is like the Cambrian explosion of Urbit apps. And I've got a nice picture of it, of just like all the apps that are there. And not only that, but like new companies coming together and being like, you know what, this is a real investment. Hold on. Okay, we're good. This is the real deal. This is the time to strike. There can be money in this. The planets can be worth something, and that means the stars are worth something, and then the galaxies. This is the time to build the stuff, and and because you can build one thing and it stays forever, and everybody else can use it, and it's interoperable. Like, better get in quick and see what you could do building that first little layer thing. And all these ideas and all these companies took off, and new apps all the time, and great energy, lots of hype. It attracted the good and the bad, and the videos that I have are mostly, I think, from Assembly Miami 2022, I think. And and you can feel that energy of like influx of money, and let's be a crypto project, sure, whatever, and very exciting time, a lot of money coming in, and like, I guess just to foreshadow a lot of here, you gotta get in my face, I'm gonna foreshadow, just to foreshadow, this is a moment where these businesses took investment. And whenever you borrow money, there's now a deadline, and you now need to create an ROI, and that is, in the hype, better be a pretty good ROI. It better really pay off. And so all these companies took on that debt, took on that investment, and they now have a responsibility to make good on that, right? So, foreshadow. But everything feels great moving forward. And I'm going to pause this video, and I'm going to check to see if all this works. And I will then go on to talk about the cracks that start to show up in one of the places that I got to go personally, at a sub-assembly in Wyoming. And we'll talk about the aftermath. Gall really put to the test, and see what happened. Again, hi, I'm nordus-mocwyl, and thanks for walking around with me. Is there anything else? I don't know if I'll be able to, you know, in 2024, I made a lot of Urbit videos, and I have a fund for it. So I can pop that up, and I'll leave a link to the final milestone of my fund. And so if this looked pretty good to you and you want some more, you can put some money in the fund to get more of these videos, encourage me to make more. And I am still committed to giving a portion of what I make there to give directly. So that is definitely a priority because give directly is great, and I'll never let that go. Okay. Well, getting to quite the thing. We got to here. Okay, see you in a bit.